Heaven's Door belongs to Rohan Kishibe and first appears in Diamond is Unbreakable. Physically, it is nowhere near the strongest stand on this list, but its actual ability gives Rohan an absurd level of control over anyone he successfully targets. Heaven's Door turns living beings into books. Their pages contain truthful information about them, including memories, thoughts, personality traits, and information about their stand. This already makes it one of the strongest information-gathering abilities in the series, but Rohan can also alter what is written inside those pages. By writing commands into someone, Rohan can force that person to obey them. He has prevented opponents from attacking him, erased memories, and even written abilities into people that they previously did not possess. Koichi was temporarily given the ability to speak Italian, while Josuke was commanded to fly backward at 70 kilometers per hour. Rohan can also remove pages containing memories, and Heaven's Door is not limited strictly to humans. He has used it on animals and other living things. Its main weakness is activation. Rohan still has to successfully use Heaven's Door on his target, meaning an opponent fast enough to attack him first can potentially end the fight before the ability matters.
The World. The World is Dio's stand from Stardust Crusaders and one of the strongest conventional close-range stands in JoJo. Even without its ability, the World possesses enormous strength and speed. Its real advantage, however, is the ability to stop time. Once Dio activates the World, almost everything around him becomes completely frozen, while Dio remains able to move. This allows him to reposition himself, attack opponents who cannot respond, place objects around them, or simply escape danger before time starts moving again. Dio initially could stop time for roughly 5 seconds. As his synchronization with Jonathan's body improved, that duration increased. After drinking Joseph Joestar's blood, Dio eventually reached approximately 9 seconds of stop time. 9 seconds does not sound long, but for a stand as fast as the World, it is enough time to completely control the battlefield. Dio could leave a location, retrieve an object, and return while everyone around him remained frozen. The major weakness is that Dio has to consciously activate the ability. A sufficiently fast surprise attack can hit him before time stop begins. Other users of time stop abilities can also perceive and eventually move within his stop time, as Jotaro demonstrated with Star Platinum.
King Crimson. King Crimson belongs to Diavolo, the main antagonist of Golden Wind. Its abilities allow Diavolo to see what is about to happen and then remove himself from dangerous portions of that future. Its secondary ability, Epitaph, gives Diavolo visions of upcoming events. These predictions show him the result of the immediate future, giving him warning of attacks before they happen. King Crimson can then erase a period of time lasting up to roughly 10 seconds. Everyone except Diavolo continues along the actions they were fated to perform during that interval, but they do not consciously experience those seconds and cannot remember them afterward. Diavolo remains aware and can alter his own positioning. He cannot directly attack somebody while the erased interval is occurring. Instead, he normally watches the predicted attack pass, moves into an advantageous position, and strikes immediately when normal time resumes. The combination of Epitaph and time erasure makes conventional attacks extremely difficult to land. Diavolo can know that an attack is coming before his opponent performs it, and then remove the interval in which that attack would threaten him. King Crimson is still a close-range stand, and its ability does not make Diavolo permanently untouchable. Once erased time ends, he has to physically attack his target, creating the brief opportunity in which an opponent can respond. Weather Report. Weather Report gives West Bloomerang control over the atmosphere, making it one of the most versatile stands ever shown. Weather can manipulate wind, humidity, clouds, rain, and other atmospheric conditions. His control is precise enough to create small, localized weather effects, yet powerful enough to cause rain approximately 30 kilometers away. He can generate strong winds, create fog, summon lightning, and manipulate air currents to detect movement. He can also surround himself with atmospheric layers capable of interfering with incoming projectiles. One of the stand's deadliest uses does not even involve conventional weather. Weather can manipulate the concentration of oxygen in the surrounding environment. Emporio eventually uses Weather Report to create an atmosphere containing an extremely high oxygen concentration, which becomes lethal to Pucci. Then there is Heavy Weather. After Weather regains his memories, Heavy Weather automatically produces unusual rainbows through atmospheric refraction. Anyone affected by their subliminal effect begins transforming into a snail-like state, dramatically reducing their movement and leaving them vulnerable. Weather himself is immune. Pucci counters the effect by removing his own eyesight, preventing himself from perceiving the rainbows properly. Heavy weather is difficult to control and potentially dangerous to practically everyone in the affected area, including weather's allies, which is one of the biggest reasons it ranks below the abilities coming next.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody belongs to Ungolo and possesses effectively unlimited range. Rather than directly attacking people, the stand breaks the barrier between fiction and reality. Characters depicted in books, paintings, advertisements, cartoons, and other forms of art begin appearing in the real world. The effect spreads around the planet, and the fictional characters disappear from the original works they came from while they are manifested. The more dangerous part is what happens when someone recognizes a fictional character they are emotionally drawn toward. Their soul can separate from their body and become incorporated into that character's story. Once this happens, the victim is forced to follow the events of the original narrative, including the character's fate. If the story ends badly for that character, the victim can be forced toward the same conclusion. Ungolo does not need to personally control every character or remain near his victims. The stand operates automatically on a global scale, while he can remain somewhere completely different. But Bohemian Rhapsody has a huge flaw. It has almost no discrimination. Weather Report defeats it by having Van Gogh create a new fictional character named Putback, whose story is specifically that it returns all fictional characters to their original works. Because Bohemian Rhapsody also brings Putback to life, its own ability produces the thing that defeats it.
Chariot Requiem. Chariot Requiem is the evolved form of Silver Chariot, created after Polnareff's stand is pierced by the arrow. Unlike Silver Chariot, Chariot Requiem does not focus on swordsmanship. Its power revolves around souls. When activated, it puts living beings within its range to sleep and begins exchanging their souls between bodies. Humans can awaken inside other humans, animals, or completely different biological forms. Because stands are connected to the soul, stand abilities move with the soul rather than remaining with the original body. Chariot Requiem also affects those stands directly. Anyone attempting to take the arrow can have their own stand turned against them. The retaliation corresponds to the attempt being made, meaning aggressively attacking the arrow can provoke an equally aggressive response from the victim's own stand. The soul switching is only the beginning. If Chariot Requiem remains active, affected organisms gradually begin undergoing further transformations as their souls change into something completely different. The stand also operates autonomously. Polnareff no longer needs to consciously direct it. Its weakness is extremely unusual. Chariot Requiem creates a psychic light behind every observer, producing what appears to be its shadow. Destroying the light associated with your own soul destroys Chariot Requiem and ends its effects. Without discovering that mechanism, attacking the stand normally accomplishes very little.
Soft and Wet. Go Beyond. Soft and Wet belongs to Josuke Higashikata from JoJo. Its ordinary bubbles already possess several unusual properties, but Go Beyond changes how the stand operates completely. Soft and Wet's bubbles are eventually revealed to actually consist of extremely thin spinning lines. Certain bubbles originating from Josuke's birthmark contain lines that are infinitely close to zero in thickness. Because of this, those bubbles effectively do not exist within the normal logic of the world. That distinction is extremely important. Go Beyond can cross barriers that should normally stop an attack because the bubble is not recognized as an ordinary physical object. One is even transmitted through a phone connection with the assistance of Paisley Park. More importantly, Go Beyond is not subject to Wonder of U's law of calamity. Josuke can therefore attack Toru without the attack itself triggering the normal defensive rules protecting him. When the bubbles connect, their rotational energy produces destructive explosions, capable of tearing large sections out of a target. Go Beyond is powerful specifically because it bypasses abilities that depend on the normal laws of the universe. Its weakness is accuracy. The bubbles are invisible and initially extremely difficult for Josuke to aim. He needs Yasuho and Paisley Park to guide his first successful long-range attack, although he later learns to aim them approximately on his own. So Go Beyond has incredible penetration, but not the reliability of the highest-ranked abilities. Made in Heaven. Made in Heaven is the final form of Enrico Pucci's stand and grants him control over the acceleration of time. Once activated, time throughout the universe begins moving increasingly faster. Non-living processes accelerate with it, while living organisms cannot naturally keep pace. Poochie is the major exception because Made in Heaven allows him to move alongside the accelerated flow of time. From everyone else's perspective, Poochie becomes progressively faster. At first, he can still be tracked and fought. As the acceleration continues, his movement becomes so extreme that even Jotaro and Star Platinum struggle to respond, despite having time stop. The effects are global. Days begin passing rapidly. Natural processes accelerate. Eventually, the universe itself reaches a singularity point and a new universe begins. Anyone who survives the transition gains subconscious knowledge of what they are fated to experience in the new universe. Made in Heaven still does not make Poochie physically indestructible. His body remains human, and he can still be killed if somebody manages to catch him. This is exactly how Emporio defeats him. Using Weather Report, Emporio fills an enclosed area with concentrated oxygen. Because Poochie experiences the accelerated time more rapidly, the toxic effects overwhelm him before he can escape. Made in Heaven has universe-level consequences, but Poochie himself remains its vulnerable point.
D for C. Love Train. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap belongs to Funny Valentine and already allows him to travel between parallel dimensions. Love Train turns that ability into one of the strongest defenses in the series. While Love Train is active, Valentine can hide inside a dimensional gap surrounded by a wall of light. Any misfortune directed toward him is redirected somewhere else. An attack that should injure Valentine can instead become an accident affecting another person somewhere across the planet. Johnny's attacks are repeatedly displaced this way. The harmful result still exists, it simply happens to somebody other than Valentine. Love Train also manipulates fortune in Valentine's favor. Even minor injuries inflicted by D4C can travel across an opponent's body and eventually reach a fatal location. Valentine can move within the dimensional gap and use it to rapidly reposition himself, but there is an important limitation. To directly attack somebody, D4C has to partially leave the safety of Love Train. That creates short moments in which Valentine can be harmed. Love Train also depends on Valentine remaining sufficiently close to Lucy Steele, who contains the completed Saint's corpse at this point in the story. Normal attacks cannot simply overpower the barrier. The only ability conclusively demonstrated to pierce Love Train is the Golden Spin, which leads directly into the next stand.
Tusk Act 4. Tusk Act 4 is the final evolution of Johnny Joestar's stand. Its power comes from the Golden Spin. When Johnny gets his horse running in the correct natural rhythm, the movement creates the golden rectangle and allows him to generate effectively infinite rotational energy. That infinite rotation is what creates Act 4. Tusk Act 4 is capable of breaking through D4C Love Train's dimensional barrier, something Valentine's misfortune redirection had previously made practically impossible. If Act 4 successfully strikes a person, the infinite rotation transfers into their body. The effect does not simply damage the surface. The rotation continues through the target down to their individual cells. Valentine attempts to escape by traveling into another parallel universe and switching bodies with another version of himself, but the infinite rotation follows him across dimensions. Changing universes does not remove it. Tusk Act 4 also demonstrates an unusual interaction with Stop's time. When alternate Diego uses the world against Johnny, Act 4 is still able to move slightly despite time being frozen, showing that the infinite rotation can influence phenomena beyond ordinary physical restrictions. The largest limitation is the setup. Johnny cannot casually produce the complete Golden Spin whenever he wants. He normally requires his horse to move correctly before Act 4's full infinite rotation can be activated. Once it connects, however, very few abilities in JoJo have demonstrated a way of escaping it. Wonder of You. Wonder of You belongs to Toru and is one of the primary antagonistic forces of JoJolion. Its power is calamity. Anyone who pursues Toru or Wonder of You can be placed into the flow of calamity. Once that happens, ordinary events begin producing disproportionately dangerous consequences. A raindrop can hit with enough force to cause a severe wound. An everyday object can suddenly become lethal. Environmental accidents begin occurring in ways that consistently harm whoever is pursuing the stand. The ability is automatic and operates at long range. That means Toru does not need to stand in front of his attacker or consciously calculate every accident. Simply continuing to pursue him can cause increasingly severe calamities. Wonder of You can also act independently from Toru and disguise itself as Satoru Akefu, the head doctor of TG University Hospital. The ability is tied to a natural law rather than simply being a projectile or physical attack, which is why brute force does not solve the problem. Attempting to chase the stand down only continues activating the thing protecting it. Even Toru's death does not immediately eliminate calamity. Wonder of You briefly persists afterward as a manifestation of the natural law itself. Its confirmed counter is Soft and Wet, Go Beyond. Because Go Beyond's bubble effectively does not exist within the world's normal logic, calamity does not recognize it as an ordinary act of pursuit. Josuke can therefore strike Wonder of You without obeying the system that normally protects it. Without an ability capable of bypassing that logic, simply reaching Wonder of You is extremely difficult.
Gold Experience Requiem.
Gold Experience Requiem is Giorno Giovanna's evolved stand and possesses one of the most absolute defensive abilities ever demonstrated in JoJo. Its defining power is Return to Zero. Gold Experience Requiem can nullify the actions and will of someone opposing Giorno, preventing those actions from reaching their intended reality. Diavolo demonstrates exactly how extreme this is. Epitaph shows Diavolo a future in which he successfully attacks Giorno. King Crimson erases time, and Diavolo begins moving toward the future he has already seen. Gold Experience Requiem still activates. It operates even within King Crimson's erased time and returns Diavolo's actions to zero. The future Epitaph predicted may have been real, but Diavolo is prevented from ever arriving at that result. The stand can also operate independently of Giorno's conscious awareness. Gold Experience Requiem itself explains that Giorno does not fully understand what it is doing. Its physical abilities are also dramatically enhanced. It launches a small stone with enough speed and force to damage part of a building before transforming that stone into a living organism using Gold Experience's original life-giving ability. Then there is what happens after it kills Diavolo. Return to Zero nullifies the reality of Diavolo reaching his death. Instead of dying once, he repeatedly experiences different deaths without ever arriving at a final conclusion. He is stabbed, undergoes an apparent medical dissection, is struck by a vehicle, and continues into another death afterward. There is an important distinction, though. The manga never demonstrates Gold Experience Requiem fighting Wonder of You, Tusk Act 4, or Made in Heaven, so claiming exactly how those fights would end would be speculation. What is canon is that Return to Zero successfully overrides King Crimson's manipulation of time and fate, activates independently, and prevents an opponent's actions from reaching their intended result. Based purely on demonstrated abilities, that gives Gold Experience Requiem the strongest combination of automatic defense, causality manipulation, and finishing power of any canon stand shown so far.